Hello, this is the fourth video based on the keynote presentation to the PMI Serbia Chapter Project Society Conference, Belgrade, September 2015. This section deals with a checklist for virtual team building based on personal experience. Now, one of the issues is how big should a team be? And in fact, this applies also to non-virtual teams or co-located teams. The project manager needs time to work with and support the work package manager. And the more work package managers there are, the more the time is divided. Now, there comes a point where the communication between them is simply not strong enough. If there are too many work package managers, then the communication and the alignment doesn't happen through the project manager. So one of the questions is, well, how big can that be? Now, how many people can work with one project manager depends on a lot of things, on the competence of the work package managers, but also on the communications environment. And indeed, in a virtual environment, they may be able to communicate better, more frequently, more flexibly than in the traditional environment. They can, for example, send little messages to each other and have an ongoing slow conversation and move things along, where in a more traditional environment they might get stuck. Now, the same sort of thinking applies at the next level down. A work package manager may have a task leader involved, but if these task leaders are doing more or less the same job, for example, building different bridges on a motorway which is being constructed, then the variety of issues is less, and maybe the work package manager can handle more. So that's a question: how many should be at each level? Now, the next thing is, should we network with teams or individuals? And if we network with individuals, I mentioned in an earlier video that this is a little bit weak in the sense that if one of them goes ill or holiday or so on, there's nobody nearby to pick up and to keep things moving. Whereas if the nodes of the network are teams rather than individuals, it tends to be more stable. Now, another issue is the format of communication through these various nodes. If, for example, we have a situation here that two of the nodes are, shall we say, in one continent, and then all the others are in a different continent, well, then you can see that the person who is highlighted there effectively becomes the filter through which all communication goes. It could be, for example, a senior manager, or it could be because of that person speaks the appropriate language or so forth. But the people on the left really don't know what's happening on the right. What they get is the version which is presented to them by that interface person. So it may be sensible to make sure there are not many of those situations within a project, particularly if there is critical information passing between one side and another. Now, another issue to consider is the level of diversity. For every type of diversity, it makes the working more complex. So, for example, if people don't have the same culture, then they may not interact in the same way. Some cultures, as example, will tell you something, and if they believe that's correct, they'll say, yes, thank you, I agree with that. In other cultures, they will say nothing, and saying nothing implies, well, I heard you, I didn't say anything, so I agreed. So those sort of mismatches can cause an awful lot of problem in a virtual team. And then there can be other issues like climate, time zone, language, and so on. And every one of those which is different leads to potential complexity within the virtual team. This slide here includes a number of other challenges which you might like to read and consider offline. But for example, the second last one, when you talk, you don't know who else is listening. I remember a project I was on, and there were two people that had different roles, and I used to deal with each of them independently. And then I visited the site they were working on and discovered that they were in desks beside each other. So what I thought was being communicated with one section of the project or another was in fact going into the public domain between the two of them. Another feature I've discovered over the years is that if there's a communication problem, a technical one, the person who is on the receiving end believes that the sender is at fault. So you could have a conference and everybody can hear the speaker. One person can't, but their reaction will be to blame the person who's speaking and say your microphone is not working. But actually it could be on the receiving end, particularly if everybody else can hear. Or an email is distributed and people say, no, I didn't get it, but others got it, and usually email is very reliable. So those sort of issues come that our reactions are built around an assumption that we're all in the same place. But of course in virtual teams that's not so. So if you wish to discuss any of your own project issues with me, please do connect through all the usual methods, either through our website at scatterwork.com, an email, a phone call, or connecting via LinkedIn. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.